So this format is pretty interesting for a bunch of reasons. First of all, Artifact Scythe is no longer as problematic as it used to be because the decks that could utilize it really got power crept by Tier Elements and Splight, which speaks volume on how these new decks are really powerful. And on top of that, if Artifact Scythe is no longer really a part of the metagame, then you at least have a fighting chance going second, even when you're not drawing Dark Ruler or Forbidden Droplet. So yeah, you know a format is wild when people have the option to play for Artifact Scythe if they want to, but they're willingly choosing not to. The one problem that we retained though is the fact that most players had a point of contention with Mystic Mine existing, and that card is now more alive than ever, with people even playing decks dedicated to trolling and burning with Mystic Mine, or even decking out and protecting their Mystic Mines at all cost, which is extremely frustrating. Because of the insane popularity of Mystic Mine, you're really absolutely forced to run at least one out in your main deck at the very least, if not even more, and a lot of outs in your side deck. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna be very unfortunate in game 1, you're gonna lose it in 2 seconds, your game 2 maybe you might win, but then game 3 it's gonna be an absolute hell because they're gonna have even more side deck cards for your outs, which means that you're gonna lose to Mystic Mine again. And we've seen nasty things such as Beat Cop trying to protect Mystic Mine so that your one and only out gets covered, and that would make the Mystic Mine decking you out. So unless you have something that would maybe banish or bounce back the Mystic Mine, you might never be able to out it. And the Cancerous deck that is Runic is also very frustrating with Mystic Mine because every single Runic quick play can summon the Huggin, which would banish itself to protect the Mystic Mine from being destroyed by card effect. So destructive cards like Duster, Lightning Storm, etc. just won't do anything at all against the deck. This unfortunately makes Yu-Gi-Oh! A less enjoyable game because regardless of the amount of outs you might have to Mystic Mine, sometimes you might still lose to the card because of how many cards exist to protect it. Like look at YCS Rio for example, it was won by Mystic Mine Burn and there were so many cards to protect the Mystic Mine such as Field Barrier, Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell, Dark Bribe, Solemn Judgment, and the list goes on. Apart from Mystic Mine though, it can be argued that the power level of the Tier Elements monsters and the Danger monsters might be a little too high, but at the same time, that deck is really hard to play, so at least it's a high commitment, high reward kind of deck. Splight, on the other hand, is much easier to play, however, it rewards you a little less because the ceiling level definitely is a little less higher, and your monsters are not super strong, so you do lose to pressure just being able to summon big monsters and jumping over your monsters, and the deck is not necessarily well equipped to beat everything. However, if you know what you're doing, you can at least ensure some nice consistent results with the deck and maybe top an event. I just don't think a standard mainstream version of Splight can ever win a YCS, for example. And the other decks like Adignister, Mathmech, Drytron, Sword Soul, Adlich, etc., they're all really good. It's just that they don't consistently compete with Splight and Tier Elements to the point where they're as good. You're obviously gonna have to put in a little bit more effort. I guess Mathmech can play a lot of hand traps, so that's a really nice thing. Adignister can summon the huge boss monster, which a lot of decks simply cannot deal with, and that's absolutely huge. And then for, of course, Adlich, if you win the dice roll and you go first with a bunch of trap cards, you might win against everyone, but the issue with Adlich is that it suffers from side decks post game 1. Either way, I personally appreciate the fact that there's way less diversity. It's a really good thing for me. I know it's not a good thing for the casual players, but it is what it is. Not everyone can be happy. So this format is good for the casuals, but not necessarily great because the older decks, again, can still be utilized. However, they are at a disadvantage. But if you know what to expect, you can deck build to beat them. And that is the beauty about this format and what I really, really like a lot. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.